So Connor Bedard is 84 games into his NHL career, 61 points in 68 games last year, won him the Calder. He's got 74 overall. So I'm going to look at his numbers and say, no goals in the month of November, 3 goals in his last 22 games, and they'll wonder, what's up with him? Isn't he supposed to be generational? And I've seen people point to McDavid's second season where he went off. Crosby, same thing. I like the McKinnon comp because he went through a bit of a sophomore slump, and where McDavid's Oilers and Crosby's Penguins were good enough to make the playoffs in year 2, McKinnon's Avs were not, and this was pre-Rantanen and pre-Makar. This season is actually what got the Avs Rantanen. They were still figuring out what exactly McKinnon was, who worked best with him, how best to utilize him. By no means am I saying McKinnon and Bedard are the same type of player. They're actually pretty different. And McKinnon already had playoff hockey under his belt in year 1, whereas Bedard doesn't. But purely for year 2, I think his situation lines up a bit better with where McKinnon was at versus Crosby and McDavid. Because I've heard a few people saying, hey, what's going on here? Year 2 is supposed to be the one where the generational guy just goes off. And yes, if you look at the numbers, Bedard hasn't done that yet, but goes quite a bit deeper than that. First of all, through 84 games, he's got 1 more point than Patrick Kane had through his first 84. He's creating, like you can see the talent is there. That's what's most important. It's just a matter of time of when they're actually going to find the back of the net. Also, and this is probably the biggest one, the revolving door of line mates this guy has had. Last year, he and Philip Kurashev worked pretty well together. This season, whether it's been Teravainen, Bertuzzi, Kurashev, Hall, Foligno, Reichel, Donato, you name it. Sure, the chemistry hasn't been there, but it's also got to be pretty tough to be constantly rotating like that through so many line mates. Nonetheless, some are starting to wonder what he actually is at the NHL level and if he is actually a generational talent. And I guess that depends who you put in that category. Is it just McDavid, Crosby, Gretzky, Lemieux, Howe, those types of players, or is McKinnon in there? Ovechkin. McDavid was the first player I heard described as generational by the media and scouts since Crosby, and Bedard was the first I heard described as that since McDavid. He's an elite talent, and once he finds his Rantanen, his Backstrom, or I guess Strome now, I think we'll really see just how elite he can be. But I see him more as a Nathan McKinnon, Austin Matthews type first overall pick than a generational McDavid or Crosby. And I know he's been slumping, so some might even look at it like, what do you mean Matthews and McKinnon? Nuh-uh. But this is still a really special talent who's still only 19 years old. Even for special talents, sometimes it happens that their second season isn't a 100-point barn burner. He's going to be fine. He's still developing. I do hope the line mate thing gets somewhat sorted out here. I know they don't have a Rantanen or a Marner / Nylander to just plug and play on his wing, but I'm hoping he can find some consistent chemistry with somebody so they can at least have like a bona fide set first line. And I think that'll have a positive effect on 98 stats. That'll do for this one. Let me know your thoughts. This is going to be an extra fascinating one to hear your thoughts on. Has Bedard been what you thought he would be through 84 games? What do you project him as? Plays tonight against Seattle. I hope he scores. Get this thing pointed in the right direction. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new, please consider subscribing. I'll see you in the next one.